The foundation of the great and abominable church of the devil is money. And we're going to talk about how they got power and how they utilize this power. Now, there's only 2 times that Christ showed violence. And both times it was against the money changers. Now, what does Christ have against the money changers? What are they doing? What are the money changers doing? In the temple, if you're a Jew and you're going to go to Jerusalem and you're going to perform a sacrifice, as they did in those days, in similitude of that which was coming, and you came from Egypt, you didn't want to bring your sheep with you. What you did is you sold your sheep and you brought the money to the temple, and there you would purchase a temple shekel. And with that temple shekel, then you could purchase the lamb that's going to be slaughtered. Well, what the money changers were doing, you could take maybe $100 in Egyptian money, and they would give you $75 worth of shekel. That's what was going on. The money changers were profiteering off that gift which Christ gave freely to all mankind. And he hated that. And he dumped over their tables of their coins, and he drove them out of the temple actually with a whip. Now, how did Lucifer gain control of the monetary system? It didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen all at once. Back in the days of the Christian Crusades, the European nations spent their wealth going down and fighting Arabs who had taken over the Holy Lands. Many crusades went down. They spent their fortune, and they did not have enough money in their countries to negotiate common commerce. So they developed a new kind of money. It's called a tally stick. Now, a tally stick is actually a better form of money than what we have today. Here's a picture of a tally stick. And we're going to tell you a little story of how it would be used. Now, if the king needed the moat cleaned, and he hires some guy to clean the moat, and that's 400 lira to clean the moat, he cuts this tally stick and he gives it a serial number, A143 or whatever, and then he writes 400 lira on it, on both sides, both the piece that's free and the other piece, and they're notched so they fit together perfectly, okay? And he gives this piece on top to the guy that cleaned the moat. Why will the guy that cleaned the moat accept it as payment for all his hard labors out in the moat? He will accept it because the king will accept this piece back as payment in taxes, payment of taxes. Now, it's interesting, you cannot counterfeit this piece, because when it comes back to him for the payment of taxes, it has to tally with the piece that he kept. See, the bottom piece he kept in his own treasury, and when it comes back in payment, they look for this particular piece and they put them together, and you look at the threads on the wood, the grain of the wood, the notches that are cut, the way it's cut. You cannot counterfeit that thing. Now, if you give the king a counterfeit piece and he doesn't have anything to back it up, he's going to chop your head off. People did not counterfeit tally sticks. It just didn't happen. So this was a medium of exchange that worked for a long time, over 1,000 years in Europe. It would work for trade within the nation, but for international trade it was not good. I mean, English tally sticks were no good in Denmark, and vice versa. It was only good within the nation. Now, when there's international trade, they had to go back to gold and silver. So this is what happened in the late 1400s, early 1500s. In 1592, 100 years after the discovery of America, there lived a talented goldsmith in Amsterdam by the name of Otto Hudson. Now, he was a goldsmith. He made gold jewelry and all kinds of fancy things. He had a big goldsmith shop, And in this shop, he had a big safe where he kept his gold. Now, when an English trader came to Amsterdam to buy goods to take back to England, he had to bring gold. The tally sticks wouldn't work. So he would bring his gold. He did not want to take the gold to the trade fair. So he would go to Otto's goldsmith shop and he would deposit his gold. He would deposit his gold with Otto, and Otto would give him a certificate of deposit, a piece of paper that said, yeah, it's here. And the merchant would go to the international fair with this piece of paper, and he would buy his goods, and he would give this piece of paper to the merchant that he bought his stuff from, and he would pick it up and he'd put it on his ship and go back home. Now the merchant had this piece of paper, and it was a lot easier to carry around than to go back and claim the gold. So he used that piece of paper when he went out to buy more raw materials to manufacture for the next time the merchant comes and wants to buy more stuff. And you know what Otto found out? Otto discovered that the people were not coming back to claim the gold. And he was stuck here with this gold. Okay, tough problem. Well, one day there was a merchant came to Otto. The merchant knew that he had all of this gold in his safe. He had a secret deal. He had a hot deal. And he says, Otto, I've got this fantastic business opportunity, and I need 10 pounds of gold for 2 fortnight. And Otto, he didn't want to let the gold out. No, I don't dare let the gold out. But he says, you know what I'll do? I will give you a certificate of deposit for 10 pounds of gold. And in 2 fortnight, I want you to come back with a certificate of deposit for 10 pounds of gold and a pound of gold. And the guy had a hot deal, so he did it. Now, 2 fortnights later, he had a hot deal. It went slick as a whistle, and he comes back to Otto, and he gives Otto the certificate of deposit. And you know what Otto does with it? He burns it up, because there's more. That would be a certificate for more gold than he really had. He burns it up, but he takes the pound of gold and he puts it in the bottom drawer for himself. This was actually the start of fractional banking. Now Otto made so much money on that, he got excited, and he did it more than one time. He did it numerous times. And he became one of the wealthiest guys in Europe. But people caught on what he was up to, and they caught on that there was more certificates of deposit than there was gold in his vault, and people come rushing in to claim their deposit, turning in their certificate of deposit. It was the first actual rush on the bank. And what happened is the guys that got there first got their gold, and the guys that got there last, there was no gold to give them. They were stuck with worthless certificates. These made the people kind of mad, and so they took the guy out and hanged him. Well, we gotta perfect this system so that you don't get hanged, and that's what happened next. But this explains why God and usury. There's promises. God tells us that this concept is not right. Exodus 22:25. If thou lend money to any of my people that is poor by thee, thou shalt not be unto him as an usurer, usury, neither shalt thou lay upon him usury. It's against God's law to charge interest. Again, Leviticus 25:36-37. Take thou no usury of him or increase, but fear thy God, that thy brother may live with thee. Thou shalt not give him thy money upon usury, or lend him thy victuals for an increase. Multiple scriptures. Deuteronomy 23:19. Thou shalt not lend upon usury to thy brother. Usury of money, usury of victuals, or anything that is lent upon usury. Usury is not favorable in the eyes of God. Nehemiah 5:7. Then I consulted with myself, and I rebuked the nobles and the rulers, and said unto them, Ye extract usury, every one of his brethren, and I set a great assembly against them. Ezekiel 18:3, hath given forth upon usury, and hath taken an increase. Shall he live? He shall not live. He hath done all these abominations. He shall surely die. His blood shall be upon him. This is so severe. This is so severe. In the eyes of God, it's, according to this scripture, it's a death penalty. Why is that? The reason is that the debt in the system exceeds the money available to pay it. And somebody becomes a slave to the system.